Hi, everybody. It's time for the I Just Want to Understand podcast. I'm your host, Phil Hawkins, and we talk about all kinds of different stuff here, so sit back and enjoy, and let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me on the podcast, and today we're going to go down memory lane for you college basketball fans out there and have another look at the 1993 National Championship game and examine the game from an official's standpoint. Now, it's a safe bet that any serious college basketball fan knows about the debacle that occurred at the end of the 1993 National Championship game between the Michigan Fab 5 and Dean Smith's North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, to briefly review, Weber called timeout with 12 seconds left and North Carolina up by 2. Except Michigan had no more timeouts left, which resulted in a technical, and of course, the rest is history. The Heels won, and that's pretty much the way it ended. Now, there's a great deal of drama and history about this game that goes way beyond who won. And I'm not going to repeat that long story here, but I will refer you to a 30 for 30 episode on ESPN, and you can also find it on Netflix, about the Michigan Fab 5 and why this game, especially the way it ended, has a place in basketball history that will never be forgotten. Now, my goal with this episode is to examine what occurred immediately prior to the timeout and why Chris Webber's brain short-circuited, which negated his entire career in college up to that point. Now, lots of people tried to support and encourage Chris afterward, and it's hard not to have empathy for him at that time, but this was arguably one of the best college basketball players of his day. And it begs the question, how and why Chris went blank mentally at exactly the wrong time. A seasoned, experienced teammate that should have known better. We're going to take a look at the video of those final 19 seconds, beginning with Chris's rebound of the missed North Carolina free throw. At that point, Michigan still had a chance to win with a three-point shot. We'll examine frame by frame the rebound and the uncalled travel, so-called uncalled travel. And we're going to forensically examine everything that happened prior to the timeout. And it is important because what happened immediately after Chris gained possession on the rebound was actually resulted in his mind leaving the building. So let's take a look. All right, now before we examine the video, let's look at the rule defining traveling as of 1993. Now, this rule has been changed, but in 1993, this is how it was. And I'll direct your attention to this PDF of the rules for 1993 NCAA Division I men's. And look at where the red arrow is, and it says the pivot foot may not be lifted before the ball is released to start a dribble. Doesn't say it has to hit the court. You don't have to bounce it once and then move your pivot foot. All you have to do is start your dribble. Okay, so we've established the rule. Let's now go to the video. Okay, we're going to start from when Chris Webber grabs the rebound after the missed free throw by North Carolina. You can see there we've got 18 seconds left. He's going to bring the ball up court, obviously. So let's go ahead and start and examine what actually happened. So since we now know the rule, then it should be easier to really pass judgment on whether he really did travel or not. Now, so far, everything is legal. His left foot is the pivot foot, and then we go forward, we go forward, we go forward. Now, you can't see well enough to see if his left hand is in contact with the ball, but let's go back just a bit, and you can see the ball coming down, starts its downward motion right there. And we can't see if there's any contact with the left hand, but look at the position of the referee. He's looking right at it. I mean, nobody can see it better than Jim Stupin, who at that time was probably one of the best referees in NCAA basketball. It's why he was assigned to the championship game. The man knows what he's doing. So he's looking straight at it, and so far we got legal pivot foot. Now let's take it frame by frame and figure out when he moves his pivot foot. All right, so not there. Right there is his first move. Let's go back and make sure we got, no, we did. We got a little bit. All right, so it's still legal. Still legal. And there's the first move, maybe an inch. We go forward. We can't see his left hand to see if it's on the ball or not. In the next frame, He definitely is moving his pivot foot, and his left hand is not in contact with the ball. The ball, we have seen, is in a downward motion towards the court, and so far, everything is legal. Now, Jim Stupin is continuing to observe the play. He's looking straight at it. He doesn't make the call. There you go. He's dragging his foot. His left hand is clearly not on the ball, so it is a legal dribble. Now, look at the ball is coming back up, and from this point forward, we have pretty much legal action. Now, I want to direct your attention to the top of the screen here and show the reaction of the Tar Heel bench. Now, as we move forward, we can see them going berserk because they think that it's a travel. Dean Smith thinks it's a travel. Everybody thinks it's a travel. The announcers, everybody. So they're going ballistic. Now, Chris sees this, okay? He's looking at the Carolina bench. He can sense that they're reacting to what he may think was a travel that he got away with. But now that the bench is reacting, he's waiting for the whistle. Well, the whistle never comes. And I'll show you in a minute concrete evidence that this was not a travel. Okay, as we go forward, Dean Smith is going crazy, the bench is going crazy, the assistants are going nuts, and this affects Chris. He thinks, I traveled and got away with it. Where's the whistle? Where's the whistle? Where's the whistle? It never comes. He continues down court. His mind is not on what he needs to do going forward. His mind is on the fact that he just got away with a travel. Now what do I do? Okay, I keep going, blah, 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 and the rest is history. We know what happened after that. All right, now let's take a look at another view, and let's see if we can see anything different. All right, let's view the play now from court level, and we'll go through the same motion. We're going to go forward frame by frame. And he's got the rebound. He's got an illegal pivot foot on his left foot. Everything is good so far. And we'll go forward. He brings his right foot around. So far, everything is groovy. Everything is as it should be. No violation so far. So we're going to go forward. Brings his right foot up. Keep in mind that he doesn't have to hit the court in order for it to be a legal dribble. All right, all he has to do is begin the motion. All right, so we'll go forward. Now, watch how his left foot kind of rolls up. It is ugly, I'll give you that. It was not a pretty play, but it was legal, and I'll show you why. All right, here we go. Still legal, still planted. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Now, that's the first move that constitute lifting the pivot foot. Everything else was legal. He was still in contact with the initial point. Okay, so this was a legal move up to this frame. He moves his pivot foot for the first time. We cannot see the ball. Okay, so we don't know if his left hand is on the ball or not. The next frame, the next frame, the next frame, the ball is coming down. He's already started his dribble. So far, it's legal. Now, again, watch Dean Smith. Everybody thinks he traveled. No, everybody's going nuts. Everybody's going crazy. All right, now we're going to run this back. We're going to run this back, and I want to direct your attention to Jim Stupin. Now, give me just a minute here. Let me rewind this. Now, I don't have the audio because we don't need it, so let's just run it at full speed, and please have a look at Jim Stupin's head. Watch him shake his head. He's shaking his head. Now, what is that? That is an indication to the rest of the world that he saw the play. He knows the Carolina bench thinks it's travel, and he's shaking off the call. Okay? He's establishing a no call. Now, we do this all the time. Every time you see something ugly but legal, the rest of the world goes nuts, and you just shake your head going, no, it wasn't. 99% of the time, the rest of the world calms down and the game goes forward. But whenever a referee gets into a situation to where it's ugly but legal, most people think it was traveling or double dribble or whatever the violation was. And though it was technically legal, to the rest of the world, it didn't look like a normal legal play. So everybody said, why did he call that? Where's the whistle? Blah, blah, blah. You get all this nonsense. Even the announcers thought it was a dribble. Everybody thought it was a dribble, but it was not. And we just saw Jim Stupin shake his head and wave off the violation. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about Jim Stupin that I haven't told anybody else, but I don't remember exactly when it was. Sometime in the early 2000s, I was at a basketball officiating camp in Bakersfield, California, and Jim Stupin happened to be one of the counselors at the camp. And after the games, after dinner, we had a Q&A session with Jim Stupin, asking him various questions about how to get into, Division I, NCAA refereeing and so on, and different things as that. And I raised my hand and I asked him the following question. I said, Jim, I says, did Chris Webber travel? The rest of the world seems to think he traveled. And he was pissed. I mean, visibly pissed at the question. The administrator, the guy who runs the camp, rolled his eyes, and I could see him getting upset. Everybody just went, oh, God, why did you ask that question? So the smoke was out the chimney. There was nothing I could do. He turned around and looked at me and he says, let me ask you something. He says, now, did you hear me blow my whistle? I said, no. I said, that's the answer to the question. What's the next question? Anybody else got anything else? And then after the Q&A session, the manager of the workshop came over to me, the camp came over to me. He gave me what for? He said, don't you ever do that again. Tomorrow we got more games. Don't you even talk to him. Yeah, it was not good. But I did get the answer. He says, did you hear me blow my whistle? I said, no. He said, then you've got your answer. And that's really kind of what it boils down to. He indicated during the game, he shook his head. He went like that. He says, not a travel. Chris Webber did not travel. He lost the game, but he did not travel. But here's this is an example of the power of trapping defenses. Now, why did he call timeout right in front of his own bench? Because his head was, the Carolina defense got into his head. They trapped him and he freaked out. He panicked. So that's that. We've answered that question. Chris Webber did not travel.